All right. Welcome back, lovely, to the Mimosius podcast. I'm your hostess, Christelle. Actually, I'm not sure if it's hosted or host. I'm pretty sure it's hostess. I'm your hostess, Christelle, and today we're going to be learning how to seek out their intentions through setting good intentions, not through perfection. So, without further ado, let's get started, and thank you so much for being here. All right, lovely. So today the topic is going to be discipline. Yes, our most favorite topic ever when it comes to self-growth and involvement. I know, you don't have to tell me. However, as you and I both know, discipline is probably one of the most challenging things to achieve and accomplish. And today I want to use a specific part of the Bible to once again encourage you on how to seek this specific thing, which is discipline that we're talking about today, and how the Bible gives us encouragement to seek it and how to seek it in a way, how to look at it from a different lens. Because I read this part of the Bible literally 2 days ago, and my mind was absolutely blown. And the reason for that is because, you know, when it comes to, for example, my specific self-growth and involvement and just growth in general journey, discipline was one of those things that I desired so much. I love structure, I love to-do lists, I love having a schedule, having all of those things. But for many years there along the way, when I lost my way, all of that went out the window because I really wasn't working towards anything important in a way. I wasn't working towards a certain goal, or I was almost just like floating around, and I was losing all of these great habits that I have naturally. And whenever I decided, okay, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to be the best version of myself. And in the journey of seeking Christ, I also was seeking discipline. Okay. But in my mind, I thought of these things as two separate things. I thought of them as two different journeys. Okay. So I would think, okay, prayer, sermons, worshiping, then I would go turn around and then look into self-help books. What are these successful people that have achieved this are saying, what they say one should do in order to achieve discipline, what their journey was like, all of that, right? So I saw them as two separate things. And keep in mind that during this time, I wasn't reading the Bible because in my journey at that point, it just wasn't something that I was going to do. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, if I'm just honest, right? I wasn't there yet to just completely commit to reading the Bible every single day. And now that's where I'm at in my journey, and where I am now and how I'm reading all of these things. It just blows my mind every time because I never realized all the things that this book literally lines out for us, that we think of our, how should I say this, are just regular cliche self-growth, self-improvement concepts, but in reality, all of those concepts always come back to the Bible, and that's really what I'm learning. And the reason why I say that is because how has no one ever n- talked about this? How has no one ever said, out of all those self-help books that I've read, out of all these journeys that I've read on how people overcame their struggles and their hardships with achieving discipline, not once has anyone ever said, "Oh, yeah, I read this one quote in the Bible and it literally gave me this whole different perspective of it." Not once. Or anytime I looked at a video, listened to a podcast or anything of that sort, no one had ever just said, "Oh, yeah, it literally is stated here in the Bible." And that's what blows my mind. So let me go ahead and read it to you, and then we'll discuss it for as we go on, okay? By the way, I always say discuss because I feel like I can like see you. I feel like you're listening to me, and I'm just making stuff up that I feel like you're saying to me when like maybe I'm just a little crazy. But just roll with me. Okay, so we're going to go to Hebrews, all right? So it's going to be Hebrews chapter 12, and we're going to go to verse 7. That's just where we're going to start. I'm not going to read it to you from the very beginning. I'm just going to go straight to verse 7, and we're going to read verse 7 through 11, those specifically. Okay, so let me go ahead and read it to you. It says, endure hardship as discipline. Okay. So keep in mind, right before this, which I don't even know who wrote Hebrews. Some people say it's one person, some others say it's another person, but whoever wrote Hebrews states a piece of encouragement that God gives to us from the Old Testament, okay? And the whole title of this specific section is called God Disciplines His Children, okay? And then verse 7 goes, it says, endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They disciplined us for a little while, as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good, in order that we may share in his holiness. Verse 11 says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. I'm going to stop right there for a second before I finish that last verse. So let's pause right here and just take in what we just read. All right? Two main things that stood out to me right here. Endure hardship as discipline. One. And then verse 11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. There's literally nothing truer than that statement alone. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. And this goes back to what I was saying just a second ago. This goes back to what I was just saying a second ago, where all these people that have achieved discipline, what do they always talk about? How difficult it was, right? How challenging it was, how they had to have a certain way that they overcame it, and then they go on and share it with other people in hopes that would work for them will work for whoever they share it with as well, right? So we all know that discipline is a painful thing, but I never realized that the Bible literally tells you, listen, it's not going to be joyful. Whenever you are in a state where you're coming to God as you are, which you should, okay? That's what we always say. Come to God as you are. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. No matter where you are, right? So you come to God and you say, Father, I need help. Please help me, save me, change me. Wonderful. God's gonna literally discipline you. And this goes hand in hand with what I was talking about in the last episode, where there's things that you may have, and all of a sudden they get taken away, and you don't understand why, and it feels like a roller coaster. This can all be part of God's way of disciplining you. And I wanted to pause there for a second because I know that it can seem a little harsh, right? If you're listening to this and you're just now starting your journey, your Christian journey, you're just even if you're just entertaining the thought, you may hear this and you may think like, "Whoa, that's a bit much." Because when we think of discipline, if we think of an authoritative figure disciplining us, we always have this negative concept to it, right? Like we always feel like it's going to be done in a harsh manner. It's going to be in a mean manner, in a demeaning manner, where it's like putting down a whip on you, okay? And I just want to really dedicate this episode, and the purpose of this episode is to look at it from a different perspective. Because you got to keep in mind, God knows us better than we know us. God knows you better than you know yourself. God knows you better than anybody else in this world does. And it even tells you here, right? It says, we have had our own fathers, our fathers, right, that gave life to us in this world, our dads, okay, who have given us discipline to the extent that they know of. That's what it says here. To the extent that they know of, they have given us whatever wisdom they have. But when you decide that you're going to go to your heavenly Father, your creator, He's going to discipline you in a different way. He's going to discipline you so that you're able to really get to that best version of yourself that He has for you, that you were destined to become. And in order to get there, you're going to need to be disciplined. So let's look at it from a different perspective. Instead of thinking of it as, oh, there's this big, strict guy that wants me to be perfect. Okay, instead of looking at it that way, let's look at it from a different lens. So when we think of, don't even think about Christianity. Think about the world, okay? Think about successful people. Think about wealthy people, right? What do they all have that they always share with everyone else? What's the secret sauce that all of them will tell you they have? It's discipline. What is it that we as human beings always want to have? Like when something clicks in our mind, when we say, you know what, I want to be the best version of myself. How do I get there? What's usually the answer? Discipline. When you yourself decide, I want to be a disciplined person. Okay, that's when we kind of start to see things from a different perspective because, in a way, we're the one that are deciding, okay, I'm going to take this on. But why do we want to be disciplined, right? Because we see all these people that have this sort of peace, that have this sort of success, that have this sort of joy and happiness because they are disciplined people. And that's what gets them to the highest level of success, no matter what that looks like, okay? And I remember even when I was like, this was about like 3 years ago, or yeah, something around that time. I remember I watched this video, and this is when I was very fresh on my growth journey again, like I just said earlier. And I watched a video, and I wish I could find it, but I tried to look for it, I couldn't find it, so I'm just gonna have to describe it. There was this girl, and she was wearing these leather pants. I mean, she looked amazing, okay? She was wearing these leather pants. She was just slouching over, just real cool, real edge, you know, real chic. And she was explaining that after speaking with all these different millionaires, she found that there were 5 things that all these people do. Okay. It was waking up early. It was working out. It was meditating. It was reading. I forgot the fifth one. I think it was eating healthy. Hold on. Hold on. Let me look it up. I have my computer right here. Hold on. I think there was like a, let me see. Maybe the video will even pull up. Okay, yeah, I know there was a book. I know there's a book that was written about this, but I'm not really sure if that's exactly what she was talking about. Let me see. Relationships. I never read the book called The Five Habits of Highly Successful People because, I'm already super disciplined, so I really don't need it. That was a joke. That was a joke. That was a joke. I did not read the book though, but that was a joke. Okay, I'm getting carried away, guys. I don't know. I forgot the fifth, but we're gonna go with healthy eating because I see it being one of these that are listed here or whatever. You get the point, okay? If you notice, whatever successful habits you look at, they really have nothing to do with a degree or with a specific career path or with certain qualifications. They're always habits, okay? They're always things and decisions that we get to make without even having to spend any money or having to achieve anything and accomplish some sort of, I don't know, some sort of program to finally get to the point where we're able to do that. Like, no, it's a matter of decisions that we get to make. And I say get because you do have that choice. And God gives you that choice. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to do it. You get to do it, right? And I don't mean it in a cliche, annoying way where it's like, I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning because I get to wake up at 5 in the morning. No, oh my gosh, that literally drives me insane. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that those are usually the habits that you get to work on in order to say and feel, in order to say that you're accomplished, in order to feel accomplished, right? Because if we really think about it, for example, let's say that someone would have to describe you. And if they describe you as someone that's incredibly disciplined, like what a great compliment. Like that, does it get any better than that? Of course, if someone says a true woman of God, a true example of a woman of God, a warrior of the Lord, you know, those are also great. But generally speaking, if someone describes you as a disciplined person, that means that you mean business. You're serious about it and you don't allow anyone else to compromise that. And I think of it as this way, like let's say someone, you're not in the room, okay? And an acquaintance of your friend is like, you know what? Let's invite Sarah. I just use Sarah because I don't know. It's my fiance's sister, and I don't know why I just thought of her. And they say, let's invite Sarah to go out with us Wednesday night. Like, we're gonna have a little get together, some drinks, and we're just gonna party and it's gonna be a good time. And if the friend of Sarah says, oh no, she's not gonna do that. And the other person's like, oh, why not? And they're gonna be like, well, no, like she wakes up at 5 in the morning, she goes to work out first thing in the morning, and she has all these things that she has going on. Like she's not gonna agree to it. Like she's super disciplined about that. You're not gonna convince her to do that, to agree to it. I remember when I was younger and someone would describe someone like that, and I would be like, wow, like that's who I want to be, right? Not only are you saying they're disciplined, you're also saying like, listen, whatever you say, whatever you're trying to do to convince them, like, no, they're not worried or concerned with how you're trying to bring them down. They're stuck on their ways and they're on a journey to evolvement, self-growth, and discipline, my friend. I don't know why I just got like real serious about that and went on a rant, but you get the point. So, this is a very common concept that we all are aware of, okay? We all know that if you're not disciplined right now and you decide that you want to start discipline, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? The very first thing. Like, what should you do? Exercise, probably, right? Eat healthy. I should probably read a book. I should probably go have a morning routine. I should probably have a night routine. All those things, okay? And there's a reason why they're hard. They sound easy, but when you actually take it on, you're like, oh, wait a minute. This is a lot. This is a lot. This is really time consuming. This is really challenging for my character because I not at a point where I actually care to prioritize these things. I would rather sleep in. I would rather not go to the gym. I would rather eat whatever I want. I would rather not read because like why do I really even have to do that? All of those things are things that you don't have to do. But when you decide that you want to do that, there's going to be this wonderful, wonderful effect. And let me tell you what it is. As I read this on, it says, let me reread verse 11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. I'm just still mind blown that no one has ever bothered to mention that those statements are in the Bible. Like, we don't need all these self-help books. It's written out right here. And what's greater than the word of God right in front of you? It's mind-blowing. And it's mind-blowing, it truly is. And here's another thing that you have to keep in mind as you think about this, okay? Who do you think knows what the results are of you becoming a disciplined person? Who do you think understands that once you become disciplined, once you can mentally become strong enough to dedicate yourself to the habits that you need to establish to become the best version of yourself, to become the person that trusts God with their being, and not only with their being, but actually has the habits of having a wonderful day every single day because you decide to be disciplined in every perspective and grow in every perspective, spiritually, health wise, fitness wise, right? Who do you think knows what the wonderful results are going to be if you decide to cross that bridge? The enemy. Okay? The enemy is fully aware of who you could be if you were to decide that you would want to take on these habits and really, really commit to becoming a disciplined person. And he also knows how challenging it is. So, guess what he's going to do? He's going to keep on throwing salt on that wound on a daily basis. If you struggle to go to the gym, he's going to keep reminding you why it's a waste of time. Why you will look foolish going to the gym, surrounding yourself with people that know what they're doing when you have no idea what you're doing. Making you feel shameful for even attempting to get on a treadmill and jog when you don't even know how to run. Who do you think you are trying to eat healthy? What, are you some health freak now? Are you like a healthy person? You're not even skinny. Like, who do you think you are to try to do this? Hmm? Oh, you think you're smart? Is that why you're reading books? Like, don't you know that all these things are only for the successful people that deserve to claim themselves to be smart, fit, and healthy? Ooh, the list goes on, but the enemy's fully aware what you're trying to do. And you're gonna have to overcome that. You're gonna have to overcome it. You're gonna have to learn to push through, even with that voice in your ear, even with those negative thoughts, even with all those imposter syndrome that you're not all those, that didn't make sense. Even with that imposter syndrome that's gonna be screaming at you anytime you try to take on something new that you know is gonna benefit you tremendously. The enemy will do that. So just know it's not you. Whenever you like talk down on yourself, whenever you feel like, I keep trying to be disciplined, I keep trying to wake up early, I keep trying to be motivated and go to the gym, I keep trying to be, I keep trying to be, I keep trying to feed my soul and pick up a book and read and focus, but I can't. Think about it, it's not just you. The enemy is literally doing whatever they can to keep you from taking that journey on because he doesn't want you to become your highest self. He doesn't want you to finally get to a point where God says, "You've done it, my darling. Over and over, you kept trying, and you're finally here. You have showed me that you're serious about your discipline. And guess what? As a result for this commitment, you're going to get a harvest of righteousness and peace." And listen, I can tell you from experience because if I'm going to talk the talk, I got to walk the walk. You know what I mean? I can tell you right now that I have developed many, many wonderful habits. And the interesting part that has happened after developing these habits is that as I'm being called on this new journey that God has called me to do, which is to share with other people, how wonderful it is to walk with God, how challenging it can be, how you can still overcome it. Look at me, I'm already ranting. Let me not get distracted here, okay? As God is calling me to take on this new journey, I had to get disciplined myself. Sure, I had successes along the way, but there were many, many, many hardships. And I realized that I didn't just want to be successful in one area of my life. I didn't just want to be successful in business, or I didn't just want to be successful in making money. I didn't want to be successful in just those things and then dedicate the rest of my life to those things and miss out on everything else that God has for me. I wanted to become the best version of myself in every aspect. So I thought to myself, how can I do that? Like, how can I do that? And let me tell you what drove me to that. It was this daily anxious mind that I had, where I could look at myself and I would think, wow, like I did it. Like I achieved this big goal that I had set for myself, and it's great. Yet every single day I'm completely anxious. Yet every single day I wake up stressed. Yet every single day I have to meditate for like 30, 40 minutes at night just to be able to close my eyes and just fall asleep. Every day I keep myself from going to sleep because I don't want to face the day to come. Although, yeah, I got to get to dress up really nice, and I get to go out and have serious conversations with serious people and help people. It At the end of the day, I realized that there was a huge part missing. It was almost like I was leaving a lot of meat on the bone. Like I was only scratching the surface. And I realized that because I felt like I know that this is where I want to be. And I know that God has allowed me to achieve this to prove to myself that I can do it, that I can do hard things, that I can overcome this really heavy seasons and see success at the end of the tunnel. Not just because of me, but all glory be to God 100%. But he did that the way I see it. He did that to show me that, hey, I'm with you. Through the hard things, I am with you. Okay, and you can do it, and I'm going to push you until you can finally see that you can do these hard things. But once I got to that point, it was like, okay, I realized, okay, I've learned what I needed to in the season. What next? I felt like there was like this push to something new. And I realized, okay, what is the rest of the meat that I'm leaving on the bone? And I realized that I don't think God wants me to wake up stressed, anxious, avoiding sleep, avoiding resting because I don't want to face the next day. Like that's not the life that He has for me. I just refuse to believe that. And when I realized, like, oh, this is going to be my life if I don't change something. This is going to be my life if I don't decide to put a pause on things and really listen to what God is telling me to do here. I realized, like, okay, this is going to be my life, and I don't want that. I don't want it. Like, again, what point is it to gain the whole world if you're going to lose yourself, right? And I decided, okay, let me figure out what the rest of this meat is on this bone. Let me see. And I went back to the basics. What are the things that I really want to do that I just simply do not find the time to do? It was reading. It was waking up early. It was going to the gym. It was, well, there are some things that I was doing right, actually. There are some things that I was already doing right, but there was these things that I really felt like were necessary to really complete the picture. And I realized, okay, the reason why I haven't dedicated any time to that was because I didn't see them as priorities. That's really the bottom of it. I did not see them as priority. I felt like they were a waste of time, and I could really use that time to learn in my career path. I could really use that time to contribute to gather new clients. I don't really have time to sit here and like sit still and read for like 40 minutes and go to the gym for an hour, and like I just don't have time for that, okay? That was the mindset. But when I decided, you know what, I'm going to change something about it and I'm really going to commit to it and I'm really going to do it. I'm going to do those things because, okay, where are all these successful people? How are they so successful if and they find the time to do this on a daily basis? There's something not adding up here. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do it. And slowly but surely, I did it, right? I can tell you today. I'll wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday. I do sleep in on the weekend. I'll work out with my fiance for an hour in the morning. We go hard in there. We lift some weights. Okay, if you can tell, I have these little baby guns. What? Oh my gosh, I need to calm down. I need to calm down. Then what I do is I read the Bible. After I read the Bible, I take my dog on a walk and then I pray, and that's when I get ready for my day. And then when as far as health goes, I cook literally Monday through Friday every night. I make dinner because I feel like that's really important for me as a woman of God to really, really take care of my mans and make him feel loved. Also, it's a really healthy way of eating and nourishing your body. I mean, I used to go out all the time because why do I need to cook? Like, I would just go out and just eat whatever I wanted. But there's something different about really cooking and me and knowing what you're eating and nourishing your body properly. And it's such a beautiful experience. But okay, I'm getting carried away. And then before I go to sleep early, actually, I used to go to sleep at like midnight, maybe 1 o'clock, because again, I was avoiding going to bed. I did not see going to sleep as a wonderful thing. I dreaded it. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in bed by 10 p.m. Like that's what we're gonna do. Now, granted, my fiance and I, we help each other in that sense, but those are just some of the things that I do. Like those are some of the things that make my days. And I can tell you that there's this weird thing that happens. It's like once I decided to pursue that and really prioritize and make the time for that, it was like God just took my world upside down and was like, "Okay, darling, it's time for a new journey. You're ready." And I have no idea what that means. I can tell you right now, I have no idea what that means, but I have faith. I have faith that whatever it is and whatever he's leading me to is where I'm supposed to be. I have surrendered my life, and in the process, I get to truly be the best version of myself. Because let me tell you something, going out to the gym every morning feels so rewarding. Waking up early at 5 a.m., I absolutely hate it every single day, but I still push myself to do it anyways. And I'm so proud of myself. Like, I'm up before the sun. What you got, son? You ain't got nothing on me, my friend. Anyway, cooking. Like, am I gonna be like a farm girl any day soon? I don't know. You in 2 years you might hear my podcast and I'm gonna be like, so I'm over here gathering the eggs that my chickens just laid in the back. Not really sure how I got there, but I guess just cooking made me think of becoming a farmer. Okay. Anyway, what else? Reading. I mean, reading has been so wonderful, okay? So, just a little side note, that's actually what got me to reading the Bible because I would look at the Bible and there was just something that kept me from picking it up and reading it. I couldn't even tell you what it is. I really can't. Like, I was so committed to my walk with God, but it was almost like the last thing was like, okay, like, you need to read your Bible. And I kept hearing that everywhere. I was like, God was telling me, like, read your Bible, read your Bible. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'll praise you. I'll worship, but I'm not going to read the Bible. Who's got time for that? Here we are. Here we are dedicating a whole podcast to it. Hmm. Kind of funny how that worked. So, anyway, yeah, I started reading books. Like I said, self-help book. I started reading all these different things and whatever it was that I was stressed out about, I started reading about it. I used to be a chronic worrier. Like I would worry about so much on a daily basis, and at some point it just got so loud. Like I just couldn't. I think that that made it even worse. Like right before my shift into this new journey, God, it was almost like God put this turned up the speakers on all the things that were really bothering me. Like I could no longer ignore them. I And I've always been a person where like, okay, like there's pros and there's cons to a lot of things, right? The pros have to outweigh the cons. That's just my mentality. And it was to a point where the cons were just on blast. Every single one. It was like I was like, I'm gonna turn the volume up on all the bad just to get her moving. And I couldn't ignore it. And worrying was one of those things where for some reason it just got triggered so badly for a while there. And I read a book about it, and that was life changing. If you want to know what that book was, actually, I'll put it in the description if you're interested. Read it. It's if you're chronic warrior, this will literally change your life. Um, and there's multiple books that I kept reading, but you see what the funny thing was that I started with self-help books that were all about grind, 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 grind. And I felt like I wasn't really finding what I'm looking for. Then I got more philosophical. And in those philosophical books, guess what came up? God. God would come up. And then from those philosophical books, I said, you know what? What's more philosophical than the Bible? And here we are. So, the reason why I'm telling you this, okay, is because I want you to know that it's not gonna happen overnight. Like, it was really a struggle. Like, for me to sit here and tell you that I do all these things now, it's such a wonderful success. If not, I would say honestly, there's nothing that I find is more fulfilling than to literally sit here and tell you that I've gotten to a point where I can literally confidently tell you that I do all of those things on a daily basis. Because there was a point, not too long ago, where I didn't have the strength, I didn't have the time, I didn't have the strength, the mental capacity to give it any sort of attention to do any of those things. And I didn't really believe that those things would actually change anything. I didn't believe that those things could have these wonderful effects, but it does. And I can't even describe it. Like I'm I'm telling you, there's walls falling down around me right now because every shift that you take in life, it's not going to be an easy one, okay? Walls have to come down and things have to break in order for new things to be built up. I already know this. I've seen it so many times in my life. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, I get it, but that doesn't mean that it's any less hard. However, I have this peace in my soul right now that I've never had before. I would be panicking right now, but I understand that the shift that I'm in right now, like God is with me. And again, everything we have belongs to God. I don't care if I lose everything. Like I have finally achieved something that I never thought I could achieve. To truly be a woman that wakes up early, that goes to the gym, that eats healthy, that cooks herself breakfast, that reads, that gets ready, puts her makeup on, that goes on a walk with her dog, that does all of these things that I thought I couldn't do until I reached the highest level of my success. And that's another thing. Do not let the enemy deceive you into thinking that you have to wait until you have made it into a certain group of friends, or if you have made it into a certain level of success to be able to take those things on. Those things are not luxuries in life that are only reserved for people that are successful. You are a child of God. So therefore, this is the way how you're going to find your peace. Take on that battle, take on that challenge, and the result is going to be peace and righteousness. In that battle, you're letting God take over. You're letting God say, God, I'm a human being. Show me what it is that I need to do in order to truly thrive as a human being. My mind, my soul, my body. And the reason, again, that it's so hard is because the enemy is going to try to do everything in his power to keep you from achieving those goals, to keep you from crossing that bridge. And it tells you right here, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. So don't think it's just you. Anyone that's taken on this journey, it was painful. It was painful. Your mind's going to trick you. Your body's going to trick you. You're going to have to fight on a constant basis, trying to convince yourself to do things you don't want to do. But do it anyway. Do it anyway. Doesn't matter how many times you fail, get up and do it again. It doesn't matter if you tried for a month and you failed. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Tell yourself that. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. That's all you have to do. Just keep going. Oh, you tried to go to the gym 7 times this week and you got in your car, but you couldn't make it all the way to the gym. So now you're going to give up? No, we're not going to give up. You're going to keep trying until something clicks in your brain where you're going to say, I'm going to walk in there. Just a little encourager. Ah, to finish this off, we're not talking just about those wonderful habits that we need to generate in order to become our best self. But let's go back to the very first sentence that we started off with. Endure hardship as discipline. Endure hardship as discipline. I'm not sure how I made this work. And again, it wasn't me. Honestly, it was God because I only read this 2 days ago, but it goes perfectly with what I said last week. A hardship may look a certain way to you, but you don't realize why you're facing that hardship. It literally tells you, endure hardship as discipline. There's something that God is trying to do in you, work on you, fix in you, heal in you, discipline you. Because every lesson that you learned, every little baby lesson that you learn, big lesson, baby lesson, tiny lesson, whatever it is, it all serves for you to become a disciplined human being. And this right here is telling you exactly that that is going to be the case. It's telling you no discipline is going to be easy. No discipline is going to be pleasant at the time. It's going to be painful. But, big but, later on, keep in mind, it says later on. It doesn't say immediately. Keep that in mind. Did you notice that? There's many times in the Bible where something happens. For example, when we went over the story with Peter, when he was in jail and the angel came. The Bible, the book of Acts. How many times in the Bible does it say immediately this happened? Immediately this happened. Here it's not telling you immediately. It's telling you later on. Later on, which means that you're going to have to commit some time to it. Which means you're supposed to commit some time to it. Which means it's not supposed to happen right away. You don't gain anything from going to the gym or eating healthy for one day. You have to commit yourself to it. Once you've finally gotten to that point where you can say, okay, I'm committed to this. Not just with all these good habits, but I'm committed to seeing the hardships as an opportunity to grow and as something that God is doing that I can't see, but one day I will. Later on, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained. Keyword trained by it. Training takes time. So be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. You're already going to have the enemy talking all that smack in your ear. So what do you need to do? Turn up that kindness level to the highest level. Self-love level to the highest level. Okay? Say wonderful things about you on a daily basis, which is so hard to do at times. So set the intention to do it. Okay? Be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, and most importantly, be patient. Be patient with yourself because it tells you right here that it's going to take time, that you have to be trained by it, and that later on you're going to see the peace that comes from all of that. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to encourage you with today. That's what I wanted to discuss because it hit me like a brick when I saw this 2 days ago. And I know it's such a small verse, but again, how come I've been on this journey, on this Christian journey for 3 years now, almost 4 years. And not once have I ever heard anybody talk about this verse, talk about this. And I find it so incredibly important because how many of us are so desperately trying to grow, so desperately trying to get to that best version of ourselves, but we don't know where to start, or we don't have any sort of motivation or anything, and we seek so much from the world, but the Bible itself tells us this right here. So see this as an encourager. It's not just you. That's just the way it's going to be, but it's going to be worth it. And do not let the enemy deceive you that you have to wait until you hit a certain level of success, or that all these wonderful things are only reserved for rich, wealthy people that come from a good background. You can start doing that today. You can start doing these things today. It doesn't cost any money to do this. You don't have to get a gym membership to work out. You can go to half price books and buy yourself a book for $4 that someone paid $30 for at one time. You can learn to cook. Actually, cooking is much cheaper than going out to eat. Facts. Like, everyone knows that. It's a fact. I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over again, but that's just how passionate I am about this. All right, my darling. So let this be an encourager to you. You will be the best version of yourself, and you have everything it takes to be the best version of yourself. You are fully capable of doing it. I believe in you. You believe in you. The Lord believes in you, and you can do it. Just surrender to God and say, God, help me with this discipline journey. Give me the strength to overcome these insecurities. Give me the strength to be that disciplined version that you want me to be. And He will save you, girlie. He will help you. All right. I feel like I got a little intense there, but that's okay. Have a wonderful week. You are loved. And actually, like and subscribe for more. This is the first time I've said that actually, but I do have to say that because I want to bring awareness to this podcast, because I know that there's a girlie out there that can benefit from just listening to these encouraging words, and I want to spread it to as many people as possible. So yeah, like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next week.